So your next assignment is going to be actually a series of three parts of the same assignment, which is a pitch deck. A pitch deck is a presentation that gives an overview of a business or an idea to potential investors or other audiences. So what that really means is you're trying to show somebody what you're planning on doing. In the general sense of pitch deck, quite often it could be for such a wide variety of things. But if you were going to do it for an event planning situation, it's because you're in the business of planning events. I want you to take a look at it from that point of view, that you're planning an event, but it doesn't have to be for somebody else. It can be, but it could also be for you. And there's lots of reasons you could throw an event. So your event could be for a wedding or an anniversary. It could be a quinceañera, a bar, a bat mitzvah. I don't know. There's a wide variety of things that you can do, and you can choose what that is. So you're creating the pitch deck in a Canva presentation. You will need to do actual research to make this happen properly. Creativity and professionalism are important. That is part of your grade here. You'll see that's 50 points out of the 200 points of just part one alone, and this will exist on each part. The file name reflects content. I made that a high value thing because I want you to get it in your head that you can't turn over, let's say if it was a pitch deck and you're planning an event for somebody, you can't just give them something that says like, Canva often has these things like blue, green on white, holiday background or something like that. It's just vague, and you don't want to turn that over to somebody. So you want to give it a great name, which might be pitch deck quinceañera for Tony. I don't know, a girl named Tony. So do not turn in a sloppy presentation. That's very important. And you're going to see the attached document here. This right here is very important to look at, this event planning pitch book. Actually, I have it over there, but you'll see there's part one, and that's what you're working on this particular assignment. And you could go through that on your own to see what it is, but I'm going to talk you through it in the Canva over here in a second. And then comes part two. You'll see that there's five different bullet points, I guess you'd call it, for each of these, part one and part two. As soon as you're done with part one, move on to part two. And then that should be part three, because I broke up the original part one. And we'll go over that later. So in part one, let's just take a look at Canva for a second. And I'm going to actually go to Canva Home just to remind you how to get there. You'll see right at the top, or you should, presentation. If you can't find that there, you might want to search up there. But once I click on presentation, I have a little bit of a slow, oh, good, things popped up. You have all these templates that you can use, which is a really, really great idea. You'll see actually this one says pitch deck, which is pretty cool. Then with this, I recommend not to just apply style only or choose one of these. Click the apply all 18 pages, and you can always delete or reuse what you want for your particular presentation. I'm going to actually get rid of that right there and show you what I've created a little bit over here. Let's see if I could just make things a bit tighter. Okay, so for this first one, this part one of creating this pitch deck, make sure you have your event name. Don't write event name, write quinceañera for Tony, or bar mitzvah for Sal Johnson, or wedding anniversary for Grandma Joe, and whatever it is. Make sure you have the date and time, and with time, don't forget to put AM or PM. I'm giving points for each of these things individually. A date should have the year as well. Don't just put March 11th. March 11th, which was today or yesterday for you, 2025. Make it 2026, whatever it is. This next one, as you can see here, we have explain what the event is for. So have a full paragraph. So quinceañera explained. Explain what a quinceañera is, how old this person is, why we're having this event. Then the next one, 3, when and where it takes place. I want you to explain why you chose this particular date and why you chose this particular location. That is very important. Dates, quite often when you're planning an event, you have to consider when is the best opportunity for the people who I want to come to be able to join us? You want to think about that. What season is it, etc. When it comes to where you're going to have it, well, that could depend on the guests or what the sort of event is. So if it's a child's birthday party, let's say you have it at Splash. What's that place called? Splash something. I forget what it's called. But if you're having a wedding, you're not going to have it at the same place. You're not going to have it at a mini golf course. Or maybe you will. And you might explain, like, for instance, I had a friend who his wedding was on Halloween, so he had a costume party for that. And that dictates where and when you are going to have that particular event. The next thing here is who is the guest list. Now, this is kind of tough because you should look at how many people in total you are planning on having. For instance, my wedding, we counted up all the people that we want to invite versus who we thought was actually going to show up. So we wound up planning an event for 180 people for our wedding. Now, in this case, I want you to list a minimum of 10 VIP guests. You'll notice, by the way, on this presentation that I have, it's very basic, and I didn't really fill out everything completely like I would like you to. I'm working a lot on prepping this for you. So you have to have a minimum of 10 VIP people on that list. Then this is going to get a little bit harder here. What food and drinks will need to be purchased for the event? Again, you want to figure out, well, what is the event for? Child's party versus an adult party versus family party, and all that stuff is going to dictate what type of food there is. Also, how much money you want to spend. Now, I want you to think about it this way. Kind of decide on your own, does money matter? You could pretend you're a multimillionaire and it doesn't matter. My wife's cousin had a bar mitzvah for their kid. The dad is the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, for an agency, a sports agency, the top sports agents in the world. He's very wealthy and he's very connected. He had the bar mitzvah at SoFi Stadium. I didn't get to go because we couldn't afford my whole family to go, just my wife went. But, money wasn't an issue. Whereas in other situations, I went to a quinceañera once where the dad worked nights and weekends, second job, so he could afford to put this on. So think about things like that. And then when you're dealing with that, well, what can you afford or whatever it is? I want you to have a minimum of 10 items. You think about your appetizers, your desserts, your main courses, side salads, and things like that. Will it be catered or self-set up? Are you making it at home? How much is that going to cost in the end is going to come later in part 2. And as you can see on food and drinks, I didn't do it for all of them, but I listed it all. And you need to do that. I didn't list all of it, but I started listing stuff. And then you want to add images where you remove the background image. When you upload stuff, and you should be doing a lot of this, by the way, throughout this presentation, where you upload an image. I'm going to give you an example right here. I'll do this potato skin. I'll pull this potato skin out, which I used for the image here. Don't forget, you could come up here to where it says BG Remover. Click on that. You're going to see this you won't see it this time because this was previously done, but it'll scan it for a bit and then remove the background. When you are done with this, starting with part 1, you're going to go up to Share, click on Download, change this from PNG. This is very important. Share, download. Again, share, download. Change it from PNG to PDF standard. That's the format I would like to see this in. And click on Download and then upload this to the assignment. Then you will move on to part 2. Part 2 will continue, by the way, with a bunch of other stuff, and I'll quickly go through that for you in the next assignment post.